So you've taken some great photos. You've taken some photos that perhaps are a little bit dark. Maybe you've taken some photos that are a little gray or a little yellow. What do you do with the photos that are a little dark or a little gray or a little yellow? Often those tend to happen in the gym, for example. You might have lighting that is quite far up. Perhaps you have the older lighting, which is the mercury vapor lighting, that kind of makes everything look a little yellowish. Maybe you have high ceilings with fluorescent lighting or even LED lighting, and everything looks a little gray and muted with a lot of weird kind of blue hues. Or maybe you're taking photos in the hallways or in the classrooms, and you're finding those to be very gray with the lighting in the walls, and sometimes perhaps not enough natural light. So what do? Do you go and retake them? Do you adjust them? If you adjust them, how do you do that? Are you doing it in a program such as Photoshop? Do you have a particular formula of how you do it? Do you want to look at some? So here's a photo in a gym. Typical, right? It's a volleyball photo. The floors are hardwood. They're, that gym floor color, which often tends to reflect back that yellow hue. We've got lighting up above, quite high, and the dark jerseys make everything look dark. You have the doors in the background. It really adds to the dark look of the photos, and the light is reflecting off the floors, and everything has that hue that we've seen had been put into the yearbook before as a photo just like this. Couple of ways of adjusting, right? A lot of people naturally will jump into image. They will go to adjustments, or they'll go to autotone. So what does autotone do to this? Autotone really lightens it up, but it makes it much more yellow, right? And yellow isn't what we're going for. So you have the option of going image, and then you could go auto contrast. Well, that helps a little bit, but not necessarily what we're looking for. I can go in and hit auto color. Okay, that looks a little better, I guess, but in this case, it looks a little bit more blue-green. The other option that you've got is you can go into adjustments, and you can adjust things like brightness, levels, curves, and exposure. We're actually going to test out levels here. So remember that when we are working on photos, we're working on photos as RGB, red, green, and blue. When you're creating a yearbook, you are creating a yearbook to be printed in cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, CMYK. Photos, however, are almost always RGB. In fact, the screen that you're watching this on is also RGB. So when we're working with photos, it's totally fine to work with RGB. When we're working with layout and design, typically we want to work in CMYK. So we've got a photo, it's RGB. What do? All right, so here I want to actually work with my individual channels, my red, my green, and my blue. So starting with the red, when I'm looking at the little anchor notes, the sliders, I want to start and end with where the hills really just kind of start to climb. So looking at this one, for example, I want to have this and just nudge it over to the start on the left of where the hill is. So if I did that here with the right, that's bringing it into about there. I would actually nudge it a little bit more, and I would probably maybe start out there. But I have to do that for each of the channels. So I'm going to the green, and the green's pretty close actually. I'm not going to really nudge that a whole bunch, but I can. And so again here, I could start there or really kind of come up into here. In fact, I could even come up to where the hill really begins to incline. So as I'm doing that, I have one channel left. I've got the blue. So with the blue, you can see the image looks really quite green right now, and it's not something that we're going to be really happy with putting in the book. So I've got some options. I can leave it as it is, just like that, with that end of the slider, but I can bring this one really to make quite a bit of an adjustment. And as I do this, I'm doing this a little bit more slowly just so you can take a look. And you can see the image has really changed quite a lot. And I do have my mid-level slider if I wanted to adjust that too, but depending on what you're looking at, keeping in mind that whatever adjustments you make aren't necessarily going to be exactly what you see in paper. What you see on your screen is your screen. It's a backlit LED monitor, and the LED monitors are also, again, RGB, red, green, and blue. And when your books are printed, they're printed in CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. So how's this look? Quite a bit different, right? So when we're looking at that with the before and the after, we can really tell that there's a different look. Okay, so what does that look like on a photo that perhaps is really lit quite a bit differently? So this one, you can tell there's the lighting in the ceiling. It's higher up. It's directly above where the camera is pointing to, or it's in the line of view of the camera. And again, it's a sport photo, which is always great when you can see the ball in the photo. Especially in this case, you've captured somebody up in the air and you've captured the ball frozen. You're not even catching the ball in rotation, but the lighting needs to be adjusted, right? So we would go image, and then we have the ability to go auto tone. Doesn't really work in this sense. Same with auto contrast and colors and so on. So if I use that same idea of going adjustments and levels, working on those, I want to work on my RGB channels, red, green, and blue. So let's start with the red. So in this case, you can see there's a huge span that we'll need to look at. So I'm going to nudge just a little bit from the left, but I'm going to need to nudge quite a bit from the right if I wanted to come to where that peak starts. You'll notice that there's actually a peak there too. With the green, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'll nudge this over just a little bit, not a lot, but I'll nudge this over a whole lot of a bit to make sure that we have a quite a working set of levels. In blue, same idea, but here I actually have a little bit more room until I get to the first real hill. So again, I have a little bit of blue picking up in there, but I really want to make sure that I've got quite a bit of a different look. So you remember what the photo looked like as compared to what it is now? So that is the before. This is the this is the before. That is the after. So again, before and the after. You could put either in the yearbook. However, I would probably be a little happier with this one. Sure, can I do a little bit more filtering and a little bit more adjustments? Absolutely. You can actually use a program such as Lightroom as well. If you need more information on that, a good friend of mine, Greg, has actually put together some fantastic Lightroom videos. There's 3 of them, and if you're looking at using Lightroom for a yearbook, see how he does it. I'm happy to send those to you. Let me know. Other than that, really, if that looks good for you, save it, but save it as a different file name. We never want to save over the original, right? And the images that you've collected, images that you've adjusted, save them to a category or to a folder that lists them as adjusted as well. So you know that all of your originals are in one area, and the photos that you've adjusted and that you will likely want to use or at least consider using are in another folder. I hope that helps, and I hope you are having a fantastic day. Thank you so much for seeing this, or seeing me today, for stopping in, visiting on my video. If this helps you, fantastic. If it doesn't, I apologize, and you can certainly skip through. But if you want more videos, more tutorials, more tips, let me know what you're looking for, and I'll see what I can do for you. Thank you kindly. Take care, and bye-bye.